I'm joined now by Kellogg CEO Steve Cahillane. Steve, always good to speak with you. Thank you for taking some time here. Listen, you have an extensive career in the consumer goods industry, in the food industry. Take us through your thinking through the pandemic. Has the pandemic changed and just turned on its head everything you think you knew about running a packaged food company?
Yeah, great to be with you, Brian. Thanks. I would say the answer to that is actually no, because what it's done, it's reaffirmed so many things that I believe and we believe about the importance of a number of things. First is brands, the importance of brands, because brands are a promise to consumers, and great brands are promises well kept to consumers. And that's been so true in this pandemic. The other thing is the importance of occasions. We think about occasions-based marketing, and the importance of occasions has really come through in this COVID environment because, and I'll give you one example, ready-to-eat cereal. Well, it's really, seen elevated demand during the pandemic. And the reason why is because its occasions have been reintroduced to, countries, all across the world. And the breakfast occasion of sitting around with your kids has come back to life. It was all about on the go beforehand, and we were marketing towards on the go occasions. Well, you have to be laser focused on your brands, and you have to be laser focused on your occasions. And so, if anything, it's really reinforced so many things that I've learned throughout my career.
Yeah, no, it was a snack bar world. I can certainly attest to that. Half a snack bar, maybe energy drink, and you go right off to work. But times have definitely changed. Listen, the consumer goods industry, it's been slow growth for many years, steady but slower growth. What was it like for you when you're sitting in your office, March, April, May, and you see some of these demand spikes? Do you just take a step back and what do you say? Wow. I mean, what else can you say?
Well, that's a pretty good word for it because, on the one hand, you're obviously very concerned about the world, concerned about your employee safety, concerned about your family, concerned about all these things. And at the same time, we realize, we have a contribution to make here. We sell packaged food that people love. And at this moment, people really need it. And so it was definitely a wow factor when you're looking at double-digit growth, high double-digit growth for brands that had been pretty steady. But at the same time, there's a lot of inspiration that comes with meeting the moment and, being part of a company that's, plays an important role in the moment. So there was a lot of emotions circling around at that time when the pandemic first hit, certainly, and, still continuing today.
What has been your attack plan? So when you see these big sales gains, how do you mobilize the team to meet the demand of America? It's not just one household, it's two households, it's a whole country, if not the whole world.
Yeah, it was really a rallying moment. And so the first thing that I did is I literally called on the telephone every single one of our plant managers. Didn't set up a schedule. I just got all their mobile phones and called them to say two things. Number one, thanks for being there. We need you. You're going to run these plants at 24/7 for the foreseeable future. What do you need from us? Now, I didn't need to do that. They're not, they don't need to come to me, obviously, for what they need. But I wanted everybody to feel connected and feel important and know the role that they played and how vital it was. And that kind of was the beginning of a new communication strategy that was just so much more comprehensive. We're talking with our people on such a regular basis, mostly all virtual. But, staying connected to our people, making sure that they understand that we're there together in this, whether in solidarity, working from a home office and saying, I feel your pain, or, being in the office or visiting a plant in a very safe way to say we're all in this together, but we're in it in different ways. And from the very beginning, that was the most important, that people understood that we were joined up, that we were connected, and that we were indeed standing in solidarity with one another.
Why haven't I seen, and I'm just one case, why haven't I seen product shortages of Kellogg's Corn Flakes or Eggo waffles? You look across the food industry, we've seen a lot of shortages in the supermarkets, most specifically from Tyson in fresh food, fresh meat, chicken. There's a lot of out of stocks there, but I haven't seen it in your categories.
Well, it's been the remarkable performance of our supply chain folks, and it really is remarkable. As I just said, from day one, operating the plants at 24/7. Now, remember, when you look at any of our products, We've been focused on, like our peers, on effectiveness and efficiency in the most, lean manufacturing and supply chains we could ever have. We were not built to all of a sudden go from where we were to high double-digit growth and to maintain it. And, so we have been operating at well above 100% capacity on many of our platforms, but our people have been creative. They've been they've been energetic. They've been inexhaustible in their pursuit of making sure that the supply chain continues to run and that this elevated demand, which is unprecedented, continues to be met. And it's been superhuman effort by our supply chain people that have been able to keep that happening. Two other things I tell you is our suppliers have been able to meet our demands for raw materials, the likes of which I never thought possible. And our customers have been there, working with us, leaning in to make sure that the entirety of the value chain and the supply chain works in ways that were, just unthinkable pre-March. And so it's been a real esprit de corps of our manufacturing supply chain people and our customers just doing the unthinkable. And there's been a lot of, morale boosting that's happening. Like when you're setting supply chain records and plant records week in and week out, people get motivated and they get competitive with one another. Who can do the most superhuman type of performance is something that we talk about and that gets people inspired.
I talked to a lot of the food analysts on the street, and there's this constant concern, let's say the past 6 months during the pandemic, that sales are going to come down off the highs and they're going to go back to slow growth days. Have you seen this demand to be sustainable?
Well, it's clearly still above pre-pandemic, but we expected it to come down. And in many ways, the world getting back to normal, you almost hope it comes down because it means the world is coming back to normal. But at our second quarter results call, we did say expect a deceleration in the third quarter because, people are not going to be in home 24/7. So they're going to be out on the go and they'll be eating, in restaurants and convenience stores and things like that. And so we expected it to decelerate, which it has. It hasn't got all the way back to normal. However, you're still seeing elevated at-home consumption, which, we can all see just by looking around, our own family, friends, and neighborhoods.
What are some of the biggest trends that you're seeing in the business right now, just in terms of new usage occasions? We are all living different lives. I mean, look at me. I'm interviewing you from inside my kitchen on a table. I would not have been doing that last year, and I definitely would not have had breakfast last year, but I had breakfast this year.
Yeah, it's so interesting for our company, especially because we're at the intersection of those two things, of the way people are living their lives and how they're eating, how they're nourishing their families. And we're at the intersection of how we actually deliver that from a business continuity standpoint and the way that we all work. Like I said, our home office never closed because we wanted to stay, in solidarity with our plants, which never closed. But virtually everybody is working from home. And so our home office workers are working from home, and we see that, we understand that. We've seen the same things that other companies have, that, it's quite amazing that you can run a business like ours virtually. You can close a year, close a quarter, have an annual shareholder meeting, do your back office 100% with people, in their homes. But at the same time, the trends that we've seen, again, go back to the occasions that, we analyze, and we see how those occasions are changing. So we've been at the intersection of both of those things, and it's been a fascinating time, to be sure.
What does no traditional school year mean to a Kellogg?
Yeah, it's fascinating. One of our big yearly promotions is back to school. And, back to school in the past meant us focusing on retailers, driving big merchandising activities in stores to focus on moms and dads as they shop for the back to school environment. And a lot of that was packaging that was lunchbox driven. So think Rice Krispies treats to put in the child's lunchbox. Think of kind of on the go occasions like that. This year, we recognized that we had to have a back to school occasion that was agnostic as to whether or not the child was getting on the yellow school bus and going to a brick and mortar environment or staying in their bedroom and Zooming with their teachers and their colleagues. So we built a program to work in both of those environments. And our basic program in the United States is buy a box, get a book. And, kids love to read by and large. Many kids love to read. Parents I know love to get books into their hands of children. So it was packaging agnostic as to whether or not, again, the environment was virtual or brick and mortar. And so we've seen a lot of good success with that program. And obviously, the more that a stay-at-home environment persists, we actually benefit from that. And we're unapologetically doing everything we can to make our company stronger because of this opportunity that we've been given to have more people trial our foods, more people eat our foods regularly, and more people experience our foods across all different day parts and occasions.
You're fresh off a presentation at Barclays. And one thing that stood out to me among many is you said you will emerge stronger from the pandemic. How so?
Well, again, we entered the pandemic with lots of momentum that, was really on the back of a new strategy called Deploy for Growth. And so we spent a lot of time and effort getting the company back to top line growth because we had actually been declining for a number of years. And so we exited last year with a 2.7% growth rate, which was the best that we'd had in many years. And before the pandemic, we were tracking at about 4% growth. So we were already building a stronger company and focused around, the balance of the P&L and getting to, a margin expansion position and a more balanced financial delivery. And then boom, the pandemic comes and presents this opportunity for us to have many of our products and foods tried, reappraised, trialed, at levels that would be unimaginable. If you had told me before the pandemic that the U.S. ready-to-eat cereal would experience double-digit growth rates, high double-digit growth rates in the first half of 2020, I wouldn't have believed you, because I'm not imaginative enough, I guess, to imagine something like this. But it happened, and so we're going to be stronger because we have all these new consumers who are for the first time trying our foods. We have lapsed users who are coming back, re-experiencing our foods. And so we are, again, focused on this opportunity that has been given to us to make sure that whatever new world emerges as we come out of this pandemic, that lots of these people who have reappraised our foods and tried our foods stick with us. And I keep saying there's mega trends that are going to happen. There's people that are doing things in the pandemic environment because they have to do it. And as soon as they don't have to do these things anymore, like cut your own hair, for example, you're not going to do it anymore. But things that you've tried for the first time or retried that you liked, you're going to keep doing. And we want to be in that, that category where people say, you know what, I want to keep doing that. I want to eat more Rice Krispies treats because I love them. I forgot how much I love Pop-Tarts. I'm going to keep eating Pop-Tarts, even in this new environment. Eggo waffles, slathered with, butter and with blueberry flavors are one of my favorite things. I'm going to keep doing it. And so we want to be in that, that latter category of what you want to keep doing.
Two more for you. Is now the moment where you prepare for the next pandemic? And what does that planning look like?
It's a great question. I think it's the moment where we plan for even the most unexpected events, whether that's another pandemic, God help, or hope not, but it's seeing around the corners and really thinking about what could happen that is totally unexpected and are we prepared for it? Because there's a lot of learning that happens with the type of crisis management that we've all been through, and I think companies by and large have risen to meet the moment, and Kellogg is definitely, our people have risen to meet the moment. What's that next moment? We don't know, but we want to be ready.
Last one. I'm asking all the executives I talk to, how are they staying sane? These are not normal times. You already run businesses that are around the clock. These are 24/7 operations. They're public companies. How are you keeping level-headed?
Yeah, I think it starts with really remembering and being grounded in what our responsibilities are. And, when I think about my responsibilities are to be the best husband I can be, best father I can be. And I've been given a gift to run one of the most iconic companies in the world. And I don't take that lightly. And there's a lot of people that rely on us, our associates, but our whole supply chain, our suppliers, our customers, our consumers. And so I think about that. And I think about what kind of company we want to be when we come out of this. And I talk to our people all the time. And I always say, out of all these meetings, I do lots of skip level meetings. I talk to our people at all levels as much as I possibly can. And I tell them I get more out of these meetings than you do, because that's what fuels my energy, is a reminder of, how great our company is, the types of people that we attract, the type of people that work for Kellogg. And I never take that responsibility lightly. And it motivates me. It really keeps me fired up. And that's really what it comes down to, remembering what your responsibilities are and taking them, as seriously as possible, but not taking yourself ever too seriously.
Well, we'll leave it there. Steve Cahillane, Kellogg CEO, good to see you. And you definitely sold me on a box of Eggos. I'm going to get back into having some of those now.
Thank you, Brian.